Welcome back, everybody, to another special episode of the Every Pokemon Episode Ever podcast. I am one of your hosts this week, Wrestling Chris G, and on the other line with me is my ride or die fly buddy. It's good old Dougie Fresh. Dougie, my man, how you doing?
You ain't getting me up in one of those things.
Getting you up in what? Oh, in one of those carriages?
Heck no.
Come on, it would be fun. The Pokemon's not going to drop you.
I'll walk.
Oh man. But
I'm getting ahead of myself, but that sheep straight up jumped out of that thing.
Yeah, yeah, it did. But that Pokemon, if you don't know, Doug, its name is Corviknight. There you go.
Yeah.
That Pokemon.
They were lucky enough, they're generous enough to say his name at least one time. So I was like, okay.
So, but yeah, we are back, bro. We are covering Pokemon Twilight Wings, bro. We're the first podcast to do it. We're gonna keep doing it too.
As far as we know.
Yeah, as far as we know. We're also the greatest Pokemon podcast out there.
I ain't I'm not trying to get any on me. I mean, if you want to step in
Oh man. So let's see. I'll pause brother it. What does he say at the beginning of Impulsive every single time? He's like, "Thank you for clicking Impulsive, the number one podcast in the whole entire world." And he says that at the beginning of every Impulsive episode. So
he
maybe
can say that when he's wearing, what is it? What's that card worth? 40. It's more than 40,000, but for some reason that stuck out in my head.
Oh no, he has a $1 million Charizard, and
it was like 1.4, wasn't it, or something?
Yeah, something like that. And then he also has a $4.3 million Pikachu card, which he got during WrestleMania.
Silliness.
Yeah, that was the card he walked out with.
Yeah, no, and he walked out. He had the Charizard around his neck for one of his boxing matches.
Yep. So
I can't tell, but I did quotes.
He's like, don't get me wrong. I don't follow these brothers, but when stuff comes out about them, I mean, I'll take a peek.
Well, you want to be somewhat connected.
You want to be in the know.
Well, I mean, at least you want to be able to make yourself not look like a jackass if you're at a party or something.
Yeah, true. I have a really expensive Charizard upstairs, put away in a safe with a code, and ain't nobody touching it anymore.
So you hope.
I haven't even checked on it. I should open it up. You probably snagged it that day that you came over to watch the wrestling pay-per-view.
You got to change your codes, man.
For real, man. Everyone should do that every now and then, to be honest.
As long as you write it down afterwards.
Yeah, I had a problem with that recently. So tell me, okay, totally off subject, but we have a few minutes where we could talk. Tell me why. For like, I've had
ain't nothing but a heartache.
Stop. I've had the same password for a lot of my stuff for about maybe like 5 or 6 years now. Just nothing's ever happened. The password was fucking concrete. And then I got the urge from my wife to say, maybe you should change up your passwords. So I changed my fucking password. Tell me why I'm getting security alerts. And I had to change my password 2 more times after changing my damn password about my damn security alert. I ain't have that shit happen ever in the 4 or 5 years that I had the regular password that I had, and I can't even go back to it. I tried to go back to it, and it's like, no, you can't use the password that you've had on this account before. So I was like, man, bullshit.
Well, that's the give and take, right? Like, you were chilling with your password, and then you get the urge to say, I should probably change that. I haven't changed it in forever. And then it starts setting off alarm bells out there. Like, he changed his password. What's wrong? He must have been hacked.
For real. Like, sorry if you guys hear a little bit of rumbling. I'm putting a a wave cap on as we speak because I forgot to do it before I started the show. So sorry for the rumblings, everybody. I'll probably cut that part out anyway.
Jesus.
Oh, was it bad? Did you hear all that rumbling?
Well, no, it was all of a sudden you were like 20 feet back from the microphone.
Oh shit. All right. But yeah, I call bullshit with that. So,
I don't like to change my passwords unless I absolutely have to. I
yeah.
recently had I recently had to change our Wi-Fi password out of the fucking blue.
Why?
I don't know.
That's weird, bro.
I wish I could tell you.
I mean, the only reason I changed our Wi-Fi password in the home probably about 5 or 6 months ago was because um everybody had our we would have family parties and tell me why I'm using my device and my device is the slowest because everybody else got onto the fucking Wi-Fi before me and I live here. So I was like, this is some bullshit. So I'm gonna change my password, and everyone who has regular Xfinity Comcast can use the Xfinity hotspot from the home, but they ain't using my Wi-Fi no more unless you're a real close friend and you're in that small circle. Like I think I still got you on the Wi-Fi and also C Note as well, but I ain't giving nobody else our password
Wow,
because
no,
I
I
because I
mean
because I've been asked. Trust me,
you
I'm like what password? We haven't changed it. Is something wrong? Really?
yeah, you can't be doing that. 'Cause then somebody gets slick and it must be a bug in your system. Here, let me fix it, and then you don't know what they changed it to.
Oh man, I am looking rough, bro. I need a haircut. Oh my god, I'm this OBS now, like it's freaking it's nice and all, but I don't know what button I hit in this settings, but the camera's on now. And it's every single time I record now, the camera's on. So I'm like staring at my face on one of the laptops and bro, I'm telling you, I'm glad I ain't going out in public, at least right now without a hat. Like shit.
You gotta get that. You gotta get that figured out for next week.
Oh no, I'm gonna be clean cut and everything. I'm gonna be good. I'm gonna be good by this weekend.
I'll be looking haggard,
I know.
going into church and shit.
And I can't wear a baseball hat in church, so
No, 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 no. They frown upon that.
so so are you ready, bro? We're getting ready to jump on into this podcast and so to give a little bit of a background, everybody, everyone that clicked on this podcast to listen to this episode, um Pokemon Twilight Wings is they brought out this like mini anime series. It's an 8-part series with each episode being about 6 to 7 minutes long. But it takes place during the time of Sword and Shield. So
Mm-hmm.
you have all the characters from the video game on on this anime. And I'm not going to go and spoil. I mean, even though most of you should have already beaten Sword and Shield by now, but I mean, the rule of thumb with Pokemon games is you don't ever talk about it unless you know someone's already done. So I'm not even going to go and spoil anything because I don't know where people are when they're playing these games. Have me come on here and then they'll leave us a 1-star review. Man, I was in the middle of this game and you just ruined the ending.
Yeah, but you clicked on the episode. You knew what you were getting.
That is so true. So, all right. But yeah, background. This takes place during Sword and Shield. We're gonna make mention of a couple of the characters that are inside of Sword and Shield. That's going to be in this anime. Some of the Pokemon that are in the anime as well. And it's going to be kind of short, sweet, and to the point. And since these episodes are only about 6 to 7 minutes apiece, me and you, Doug, came to the conclusion that we can pack two of these episodes into one episode.
Yes.
Therefore, only doing 4 episodes of these for the download feed.
So hopefully, um, you're looking at this and it's somewhere between I would say 30 to 45 minutes.
Yep.
Get you 2 episodes. And yeah, so it should be about 4 altogether. That's a nice little chunk, and move on.
Yes. And thank you if you are listening to this on Patreon. This is one of the few specials that you guys get ahead of time. And people will be listening to this on the free feed at some point. I honestly I don't know because you want to know what's funny. I mean, it hasn't happened yet, but by the time this episode comes out, it's gonna be that way. Um, our Patreon now has gotten to the point where when you listen to stuff on the Patreon, it's not a week off anymore. It's with these specials that we've been doing and the way that we've kind of structured stuff, you're waiting about a month and a half before it hits the free feed. So
Good.
and it's getting to that point. So now as of this podcast, go on to our Patreon, patreon.com/every Pokemon, and subscribe because if you're fully caught up, you're not really caught up. There's about a month, maybe about a month and a half worth of content on our Patreon that you have not listened to yet. So go ahead and go on the Patreon and click that subscribe button, download, become a Patreon, and you listen to our stuff a month in advance. So isn't that funny, Doug? I never
Yeah,
thought
I mean,
we would be like that.
you don't want to be on the outside looking in. You don't want to be missing out on none of this.
For real. So like I said, if you think you're caught up on the free feed, you're not. So go ahead, go ahead and get caught up on the Patreon. Again, that is patreon.com/every Pokemon. And follow us on Twitter. I don't plug it enough, even though I should, at Poke Breakdown, which is in the description of this podcast built in now. So all of our subscribers should know now.
Yeah,
Yeah. But you ready to jump on into episode 1, bro?
definitely.
All right. Well, without further ado, everybody, let's jump on in. So we start episode 1, and episode 1 is called Letter. And actually, here, in Japan, this episode actually premiered in Japan and in the United States on the same day, right before COVID. Everybody, January 15th of 2020. So this episode is called Letter, and I'm hitting the play button now. And you start by hearing some commentary going on for a Pokemon battle. And the Pokemon battle that is going on is Leon battling Bay on the television. So Bay has her Machamp and Leon has his Charizard. And you're introduced to a little child who is sitting on his bed watching this, and then another kid is running down the hallway, and you see a little girl petting her Eevee, and the kid runs into the room, and he's like, oh, he's like, did, did I make it? He's like, oh man, I did make it. And they're looking at the TV, and Leon's doing his signature pose, and the battle's on, and you see the children sitting there talking to the TV, and they're like, "Oh man, this is cool. This is real cool." And Leon's Charizard is just flamethrower, and Machamp is taking Charizard and just flinging him over with one of his arms, and Charizard comes in with what looks like a tackle and a flamethrower to make a very quick battle, and it's over. Doug?
Yeah, this is very reminiscent of obviously the opening of Kanto with a Pokemon match being watched on TV. Um, Obviously it's updated because it's just some type of flat screen. Um, I thought it was really cool that you could actually see the battle kind of happening in the background. Um, the kids that were watching it were focused, but like we were focused on the kids, we weren't focused on the battle, but we could see what was going on. And yeah, this is a very quick battle, especially considering the hype, that was going into it, from the announcers beforehand, and the
Th-
second kid rushing in. And if
They
he was
called they
late, he would have missed it.
for real. If he was just about 30 seconds more, he would have missed it. And I'm on Bulbapedia, and Bulbapedia is labeling this battle as a Galar championship match. So it's Bay versus Leon in a championship match, and obviously we just said Leon won. I didn't want to interrupt you, Doug. I just wanted to throw that spiff in there while you're going. But it is at this point that we are introduced to their names. These two children. If you would like to make note of that, Doug.
So yeah, oh, for goodness sakes, YouTube's weird with their closed captioning.
Yeah, they are.
So the child who's in the room initially is John,
Yes.
and the child that's rushing in trying not to miss the battle is Tommy.
Yes.
And um, John is very he's watching the battle very intently, and when Charizard wins, he kind of puts his hand on the screen. He's cheering, and he collapses on his bed, and he's like, "One day, I want to go out there and I want to watch
Leon.
Leon battle with his Charizard." And trying to figure out at what point you find out, because I don't want to spoil anything.
No, you're good. You're good.
Because it becomes very apparent that the bed that John collapses on is a hospital bed,
Yes.
and we find out that they're in like a children's hospital.
Yes. So the story behind this would be more so the chairman of the championship match that just happened walks in, and and his assistant, who I believe in the video game was named Oleana or something like that, and um, she reminds her boss he's and says, "Hey, we need to get over to the children's hospital. We're about to be late." And he's like, "Okay." He's like, "I have a flying taxi with a Corviknight that basically takes a carriage. That's how you travel um in Sword and Shield, everybody. Like you could fly with your Pokemon, but you always have the image of a Corviknight like carrying a taxi from location to location when you're flying, which is pretty cool. But
That's a word for it. I'd be scared shitless.
yeah, they come over to Corviknight and they're introduced and they're like, oh, he is he's a fine looking Corviknight. He's the fastest Corviknight that's out here. He'll get you from point A to point B in no time. And they're like, we should go. And then we were quickly shot like a look from Corviknight just flying through the air over to the hospital. And then it's here that we find out that the children are actually inside of the hospital. And one of the nurses walks in and is like, Mr. Rose will be here soon. Are you excited for Mr. Rose? And he's like, Mr. Rose? He's like, he's coming to visit us today here at the hospital. And freaking John is just starstruck. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I was just talking about this. I need to write him a note, Doug."
And he's like, I'm gonna write him a note and I'm gonna ask him to take me to a battle, so that I can see Leon. And Tommy's like, well, wouldn't it be more efficient to just ask him? And John's like, no, 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 it has to be a letter. And um, and God damn this YouTube captioning. Yeah, I
Yeah.
said it. Um,
Yeah, it's
he's
it's
like,
it's
he's
it's
like,
really
no, it
weird for
has to.
this episode 1. We'll have it fixed for episode 2, 3 and so forth.
And he's like, no, it has to be a letter. And Tommy's like, well, okay, well, I'm gonna go meet him. And Tommy's scribbling away, and then we go out to like the corridor of the hospital, and we see Mr. Rose is signing autographs on shirts, which is not healthy because that means that those shirts can never be washed. So, is there no paper in this hospital other than in John's room?
So, and it's at this point um John is told, "Hey, where were you? He's getting ready to leave." And John's like, "Wait a minute, no, he can't leave yet." And he rushes out of his room with his letter and he's flying down the hallway and Mr. Rose is gone. So he's like, "Oh my god, I'm about to miss my opportunity. I'm about to miss my chance." And he starts running and we don't really know what his condition is, but he's rushing down the hall and then he gets to the stairwell and he's getting ready to run up the stairs and John is running. He is running up these stairs, but he gets winded. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I need to catch my breath." But I got to make it. So he continues to go and he's running. Mr. Rose and his assistant get back into the flying taxi and John makes it all the way to the top of the roof where Mr. Rose is supposed to be and he opens the door and he's gone. Man, this actually tugged at my heartstrings a little bit, bro. Like when I was originally watching this, I was like, no, he didn't just miss him. No, but
And you can see that John's just standing there, and it's like he got punched square in the gut, and he's like, damn. And he's like, well, shit. and we see Mr. Rose is driving away in the taxi, or driving away. He's flying away in the taxi, and there's a little bit of turbulence, and um, Rose is kind of snapped back to reality, and he looks back, and I guess good thing he looks back because he sees John standing there, and he's like, we might have to go back. Um, need to check this out. So they turn the taxi around, and it proceeds to land right in front of John.
And he is starstruck.
He's like, "Oh my god!" And um, Mr. Rose gets out of the taxi. He's like, "I didn't see you earlier," and John literally faints.
And when he faints, Corviknight flies off of the taxi and rushes over like a quick attack and catches him. And John's like, "Oh, thank you. I'm all right." And the guy that owns the flying taxi, he is looking over. He's like, "No way!" Like this kid almost got hurt. And Mr. Rose, he's like, "Say, do you like Pokemon?" And John's like, "Yeah." He's like, "It would seem like that they like you too. And you know what they say about Pokemon that like you. That means you'll be a very good trainer one day." And John is looking around, and he's looking around, and he looks at the ground, and he notices that his letter had fallen out of his hand when he was fainting. And Corviknight flies back over to the flying taxi, and in that a gust of wind flies underneath the letter that's on the ground and flies right in front of Mr. Rose's feet.
And Rose bends down and picks up the letter, and John's like, "I wrote you that letter," and then he kind of stammers. He's like, "Please read it." And John looks at it, or Rose looks at it and puts it in his suit pocket, and he goes to get back in the taxi, and this is when Tommy comes up, and he's like, "Did you meet him? Did you give him his letter? Did you give him your letter?" And uh, John's like, well, he can't talk. He's starstruck,
Yeah.
and
And I mean, I may have spoken way too soon, but it is at this point that Mr. Rose is like, you know what they say about Pokemon that like you. You'll become a very good trainer one day. And this gives John hope. John starts to smile, and it's from here that Mr. Rose takes off. And then we get some music playing in the background to end the episode, and you get some interesting characters that's from the actual Sword and Shield game. So let's start
oh,
going.
bro, you didn't say what was on the envelope.
Oh, my bad, my bad. What was on the envelope, Doug?
It's a drawing of Leon and his Charizard, and the um the assistant um says, "Oh, that's a pretty how she put it? Pretty good likeness, isn't it?" And you can see that something in Mr. Rose has been his interest has been piqued. That's not quite right, but it gets there.
Yes. And then from here, this is when the music video basically starts up to kind of capitalize. You have Bay that had her Machop inside of that Pokemon battle with Leon. She's getting ready to battle this wild Rhydon, and then you have Milo working on his farm. You have Alistair staring up at a full moon. You have Nessa, and she is admiring the ocean. from the outskirts. You have Hop playing around with his Woolo. I Wooloo.
Wooloo, yeah.
Yeah, Wooloo. And and Leon is busy contemplating his next challenge. And that is literally the first episode. That's it.
It's it's great. I mean, it's
Short,
like I
sweet, and to
said,
the point.
they don't have time to mess around with a 30-second intro. They don't have any time for a narrator. They basically just throw you in, and they can accomplish a lot in 6.5 minutes.
And they did. Oh boy, did they. But
Boy, did
yeah.
they!
But yeah, that was episode 1. How did you like this episode, Doug? So I mean, I know outside, and we got to give it a 5 on a scale of 5-star ratings, but we can't compare it to the actual Pokemon episodes because it is different. So on a different
Well,
scale.
I'm not gonna rate individual parts. I'm gonna rate this as a whole when we're done.
Oh,
I
okay.
think. I mean, I might rate like the grand total of 2 parts because
Okay.
we are releasing as 4 episodes. So ask me again when we're done with part 2, and I might be able to give you a better answer.
All right, but other than all of this, bro, are you ready to jump on into our next episode?
Definitely.
All right. So this is Pokemon Twilight Wings episode 2, and it is titled Training, everybody. And we are going off of the English subtitles on YouTube. You can find these episodes on both YouTube and on Pokemon.com under their Watch Pokemon section, the Pokemon TV section.
It's under specials.
Yes. So, and you can watch all of these with us, or you can listen to us depict it and break it all down for you. But this episode premiered February 18th of 2020, and it premiered in both Japan and in English on the same day. So a month later, that is really weird. So you
Especially with how short these episodes are, you'd think you just want to shoot them out in a batch.
for real, but it was a month and 3 days later for this episode. So, but all right, we start this episode. Uh, let's see. Bum, bum, bum. So Bay is on the phone with Oleana, and um she contacts her because she feels a little bit upset about her loss against champion Leon. Doug, do you wanna start this episode?
Yes.
Okay.
So, um, this was nice that they kind of kept it connected, like that the battle at the beginning of episode 1 is going to have these ramifications. So, um, Leanna is on the phone call, and she's like, "I'll be at the gym in the next few days," and we see somebody come in with a stack of like binders, and they're placed on top of John's card, and um, Rose is kind of fucking with his hair, and he
Yeah,
he's like, "Well, she really."
this rose rubs me the wrong way, but that's only because of the video.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, foreshadowing, but I'm not gonna say what happens, but he rubs me the wrong way.
And he's like, "Oh, she must be taking the loss to Leon pretty hard, and hopefully she doesn't push herself too hard and get hurt." And we see Bay is in one of them
Flying
flying
tag.
tack in the desert.
Yes.
So right there, you can just count me the fuck out.
So she's crossing through the desert and doesn't even wait for Koravite to land. She grabs her bags and jumps out of the flying taxi while it's in the air and just
As
jumps
her
down.
as her phone falls off the seat.
Yes. So she has no phone. She throws up three ultra balls.
Ultra balls. I did think those were ultra balls. So she had to use a goddamn ultra ball for a Machoke.
And yep, for a Machop. For a Machop,
Oh,
Machoke, and Machamp.
I mean, at least Machoke is evolved. But
But
goddamn,
yeah, I know. But
I did like that though. She's carrying around um all three stages of the same Pokemon. I thought that was pretty cool.
yeah, it should motivate them to all evolve into the last one.
Yeah. Even though that would kind of be boring, wouldn't it? You just be walking around with three Machokes
Yeah. Well, three
or
Machamp.
Machamps rather. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But she goes and she throws them out, and the guy that's flying the taxi, he's like, "Hey, miss, are you sure you want to get out in the middle of the desert right now?" And she just runs. And then it's like it's a flip of script because she runs all the way through the desert, and she's over into a wild area, and she her attention gravitates right over to a wild Rhydon. So remember at the end of episode 1 where there was a Rhydon, and she was facing it, but she also looks back, and then she gravitates towards the wild Rhydon, reminding her of Leon, which she and her Pokemon took charge of inside of that Pokemon battle. Doug?
And she kind of got her clock cleaned after um having looking like having the advantage for at least a second. And so we see Bay and her Pokemon doing like yoga and then doing one arm push ups and then
Just going
um,
for a run and then a swim.
and it looks like they're like in the process of finding shelter for the evening, and she's still out there doing her poses and her kicking, and uh, it looks like Machoke is unpacking, and it looks like Machamp is or Machoke. God damn it, Machoke is kind of resting, and Machoke. God damn it, Chop goes to hand her like a power bar, and she's like, "I gotta keep going." And she takes off, and
And then she's like train battling with her Machamp, which I think is a this part was just dumb to me.
pretty much
She's so instead of battling her Machamp with another Pokemon, she's battling it with herself, and Machamp is just going in and just he full blown just punches the mess out of Bay, and Bay just falls straight to the ground, and Machamp is like, oh my gosh, I hit my trainer, and he runs over to her, and then they're all inside of a cave, and she's bandaging her arm up where it looks like she had hurt herself while she was training. And not only does she have just she has a herd. It looks like she has two Machokes, one Machop, and one Machamp inside of this cave around this fire pit. And she gets up, and out of nowhere, she's like, "All right, I'm ready. I'm all bandaged up. Let's fight." And she's like, "Ah," she's like, "Well, what's wrong? Come on, hurry, let's fight." And Machamp is like, "I'm not gonna fight you. You're hurt," because she's showing clear signs of being hurt. Doug.
Yeah, she's got what I like to call Ash Ketchum syndrome, um, where she's too stupid to know her own good. And then while she was bandaging herself up, Chop kind of looked behind him because the cave was kind of letting in some of the storm. He's like, I don't know. And then after Machamp refuses to fight again, the the block in the door of the cave completely gives way and plunges the entire thing into darkness. And um, pardon me. We then fade back in, and Bay is pushing against the wall, but it's no effect because it's a goddamn stone blockade.
Yes.
And she's like, "Oh, there's no choice. I'll have to call for some help." And then this is when she realizes what real we realized as she was hopping off the copter. Her phone fell off the seat in the turbulence.
Yes.
She's like, "Motherfucker."
So she has no way to ask for help or anything. So it's at this point that she starts walking out of the cave for what it seems like. She's badly hurt. She's panting. She's in a bad place right now, Doug.
Yes.
And she's walking through this cave. Like I said, she's all bandaged up. She has one little tiny flashlight, and she's panting and she's panting and she's panting, and she must have been kind of dazed because she missed her step and fell in the cave. So she slid down a little spot inside of the cave and completely tumbled over, and the flashlight falls in front of her, but it's shining back at her, and then it turns off. Maybe it's broken, maybe it's not. And Bay is just on the ground. She's just panting and panting. And all of a sudden she starts to see a green light, and she uncovers her eyes, and she's in a part of the cave, and she's surrounded by crystals. And these crystals are lighting up the entire cave without her having to use her her flashlight. Doug, if you want to take it from here.
And she's kind of having an epiphany. She's like, I wonder if this is how I looked to them back there. I was such a bad trainer, and she's like, I'm sorry. And this is they could have done more with this because like she has that moment where she's by herself, and then we flash and she's back with um Machoke, Machamp, and Machop, and she's apologizing. She's like, I've been a terrible trainer. Um, and she's like, if I keep this up, I won't beat Leon or anyone for that matter. And Machop is like, bro, you need this bar to stay strong. And he does a little flex. And she takes a bite. She's like, hmm. And then she realizes
That she sees
she's
light.
she sees light, and she's like, oh, and she takes off, and there's a little ray of light coming through an end of the cave, and she's pulling, and debris is falling around her, and then Machoke has to grab her. God bless it.
Machamp.
Machamp has to grab her. He's like, "Bitch, do you have a death wish?" Um,
She's literally trying to like hurt herself Like I do give her. She's very self sufficient. She's very stubborn. She's like Ash.
To her own detriment, like Ash, yes.
Yes.
But the combined energy of the three Pokemon, they're able to get out of the cave, and they're in a field, and there's a lovely waterfall, and um, she's looking up, and she sees another taxi, and
Yeah, he's back to pick her up. And he kind of asks, he's like, what are you doing all the way out here? And she's like, we're staying out of the way, or no, we're trying to stay out of the rain. And that's literally it. Like this,
well, she gets her phone back.
yeah, she does get her phone back, but that's it.
That's
That
it.
that
I mean,
that was the episode.
and pardon me, and I think this is the kind of stuff you're going to see because, like I said, we've got 6.5 minutes. Um, so little bite-sized, isolated stories, and I mean, this says volumes because we can see how hard she was taking the loss to Leon, and we can see her determination and how far she's willing to push herself. Um, she wasn't using her Pokemon like Swiss Army knives, so I mean that's a tick in her box because the Ash Ketchum method would have been all right. Squirtle headbutt those rocks.
What? So he could bust his head open, Doug?
Well, so he can get the cave open.
Yeah. I don't even think Ash's Squirtle is that strong.
Well, we were about to find out. I feel.
But all right. Okay, so now that we got these two episodes done, what do you think of these two episodes?
Very good. They've got the through line of the battle. Um, we can see that John is just like a mega fan of Leon, and he almost missed missing or seeing Mr. Rose and giving him the letter. We can see that the letter had some effect on Rose because he still had it on his desk at the
Yes.
beginning of episode 2.
But he hasn't given it to
Um,
Leon yet.
he has not,
No.
but we also have not seen Leon.
No, we have.
Um,
Outside of Bay imagining the Rhydon was Leon at the beginning of this episode.
yes. Um, we did see Leon briefly at the end of the credits for the first episode. Um, and yeah, the through line of the battle, we can see how Bay was affected. Um, you can kind of tell that Bay's someone you're going to want to root for. So, yeah, all in all, a very solid 2 episodes.
Yes, very solid. And then from there, we're going to take another twist when we get to the third episode. But like I said, everybody, all these episodes are going to end up combining back into one big thing. These are just little pieces of the puzzle that makes up one big 8-part episode mini series for Pokemon.
Yes.
So, but all right. With that being said, I'm not going to break tradition. I do have a Pokemon pack that I can go ahead and open up on this episode, bro.
Nice.
I do have a Sword and Shield Fusion Strike Pokemon pack. So let's go ahead. Oh, you would give me a little bit of trouble. There you go.
Hey, talk shit.
I know. It is a white border, so it looks like this might end up being a dud pack. I'm going to do my shuffle. Doug, And I'm gonna give you a hint. Don't pick one of the energies that you would normally pick. Go outside of your box on something that you don't normally guess for this one.
Psychic.
Fighting.
Ah, I was thinking fighting, but I was like, I don't know if fighting is an energy at this. That would make sense, obviously, with the second episode.
So, um,
Son of a.
I know it's all good. It's all good. You got one more try. So I got a quick ball trainer card, Sharpedo, a Heliolisk, a Phantom, a Snorlax, a Snum, a Dreepy, a Makuhita. My reverse hollow is a Cooperadra. And yeah, it is a dud. I have a Palostand rare card, non-hollow. So yes, those are my cards. Here you go, everybody that plays the Pokemon trading card game live. This week's code is B7YCCM2JPBJ7. So there you go, everybody. But other than that, do you have anything else to add for this week, bro?
I don't. I'm just looking forward to keeping this train rolling and seeing where this little bite-sized pieces add up to.
All right. Well, then go ahead and say goodbye, Doug.
Goodbye, Doug.
And this is Wrestling Chris G telling all of you, I will see you on the next episode, everybody, because we're not done. We got 3 more Twilight Wings to go. Have a good night.